Just waiting for another 5 minutes for everybody to join. Okay. Okay, 3 more minutes until we start. Two more minutes. Right, we're starting in 1 minute. All right. I guess I'm going to start my presentation. I'm so thankful to be presenting today in Science in Action Speaker Series at College of San Mateo. Just wanted to thank Gerardo and Salpi for helping me out today, as well as everybody else who helped me to be presenting to you. Today, I want to tell you about a little about myself, and then my experiences at College of San Mateo, and then my journey throughout my bachelor degree, the different jobs and different things that I've done in terms of research. So, I hope you could stay tuned with me, and I hope that my experiences and different things that I've done will be helpful for you as a reference, and you could hopefully use that for your own benefit. So this is me. Obviously, this is my childhood. I grew up in Tehran, and I moved to United States when I was 21. So you could imagine coming up from a different culture and adapting to the United States was quite a challenge for me. I was always the smart kid who would have listened to his mom, getting good grades, and always being on top of my things. But when I came to United States, I also had the challenge to learn English, and so it was a little bit difficult to adapt to a different culture, find new friends. But so far, here's my little breakdown. So from 1 years old all the way to 13, I grew up in the capital city. Then I moved to Kurdistan. Kurdistan is a city neighboring Iraq. It's basically on the west side of Iran. So I studied my mostly high school there from 13 to 18. Then I moved back to Tehran, the capital city, from 18 to 21. Then I had a call from embassy that my visa has been fixed, then I can come to United States and start studying. So I was really excited. First thing that I joined, I was 2006, 2016. And around that time, I think it was the first time that Donald Trump was elected. And around 2017 was it that I joined the CSM. I was about 21 years old, and I didn't know anything about what is going on in the Bay Area, what is everything about the community that I was gonna live, about what I'm gonna do next for my life. I had finished my high school, but they had me on these tests, English and math, for me to put me on correct grade level for mathematics as well as English. So I started from ESL, and mathematics, I think I started from pre-calculus or or probably it was pre-calculus. I think it was my first math class that I took at CSM. So I stayed at College of San Mateo for about 2 years. It was excellent experience. I got to know different people from different clubs and organizations that they supported me throughout my journey, especially the Metas, EOPS, and all sorts of different clubs related to second gen students. And so I took advantage of those and was able to find a lot of opportunity. And after that, after I finished my uh, associate transfer degree at College of San Mateo, I pretty much knew by then that I really love to do my bachelor degree in computer science. So I transferred to UC Irvine from 2019 all the way to 2022. I studied there computer science, as well as I got my specialty in intelligence systems. So for about 2 years, then again, I had to move from Bay Area to the South California, Orange County compared to Bay Area. Again, different culture, different environment, different school, the curriculum wise, the pace wise, all in all, again, it was a different challenge. I will go over it. Then after I got my bachelor bachelor degree. I lived in Mississippi, Starkville, for about 1 year. I worked as a researcher in AI related research that I worked on. We are also going to go over one of my research paper related to AI in education. And then I moved back to California at the beginning of last year for about a year and a half. I've been in California. I live in Brentwood right now. So going deep diving into it, yes, it was really challenging to say goodbye to my friends, my family, and finding new friends, and learning a new language, adjusting to the culture, and the different ways that things are said, like social medias. They sort of like don't teach you the reality of you as a student, what challenges you have. You have to manage your money, you have to manage your classes, your time, and find ways to stay tuned with what you like to do as a immigrants, basically, and be able to adjust and find your future and opportunity in the United States. So getting to know all of this doesn't come as easy. It is always with challenging things and so forth. So for me, College of San Mateo was excellent experience. I started with picking up math really well, as well as my CS classes. So it really gave me so much hype that I can do good at my classes, especially the one that I really liked, which was mostly computer and math. And so what I did, I was basically see my first result for the first year, and I doubled my amount of work for the second year, which I think it was a little bit of mistake on my side, because as you proceed from first year to second year, the level of difficulty of classes you take based on the major you already chose to transfer to, it can increase. So in my opinion, this is my advice for you. You can always think about, if you are good at something in your first year, you can have probably good amount of experience you want to get. I suggest go ahead and have those classes in your schedule. But as you proceed to your second year, maybe you could slow down a little bit and focus on getting really good grades as you want to transfer to good schools. In California, you have UC Berkeley, Stanford, all sorts of different UCs, UC Irvine, UC San Diego. Each one of them, they come up with their own theme of research. Some of them are good at engineering, industrial engineering. Some of them are good with related to artificial intelligence in healthcare. So you already, if you want to look up for different schools, my suggestion for you is to look up what that school is good about, and you probably want to think about your research and your future time for about a few years if you're a transfer student in there. So basically you need to invest on that specific topic that your school is presenting it as its core and its strength. So early on, you should probably look up these schools and check your grade level. But I've seen many students with average grade level is still getting into good schools. So it's about also your extracurricular activities, such as if you have published a paper, you have worked as an honors student, or you have been on the dean list, keeping your GPA ups for a few semesters. So all of them would be taken into account, and on your personal essays, so your story, so you would be able to tell the judge or the the person who is going to give you the admission to that school, that what is your story. So early on, you have to think about your different challenges and how that, despite those challenges, how did you treat your academics as well as your grades. So those are the things you can early on think about. So one thing I noticed in College of San Mateo, we are on semester base, slow pace, and you have good enough time and resources to use if you are bilingual like me, to go to the English center that they have, different faculties. They used to come in my time. You could bring your essays and have these multiple stages of back and forth. They giving you some feedback about your essays in English or ESL, and you making some change, bringing it back, and making some change and bringing it back and forth until giving that time to yourself to learning it. It's very effective. I see like most of the smartest students who were patient with their English, and they did put in the time to and the hustle basically to do it and learn it no matter what. They were able to understand the concepts of their own particular interest much better because of their ability to read and write. So I feel like for us that we're learning English as a second language, it might be taken as a granted. You're like, I'm CS major, I want to become a programmer, I don't need English. But that's false. In your work environment, in anything, any position you want to get in this society, if you have that power and strength in your English, you can always be ahead of the game. So having said that, that's it still was a challenging. You spend a lot of time keeping up with the grades and so forth. I believe you still have great resources to take advantage and have an exercise done, and a little bit time with the community group if you like to join. So making sure that you're not stayed alone by yourself, figuring out this new experience at College of San Mateo, this new thing that you're trying to do. So make sure that you would sometimes lead a club in your particular interest, if you like, or sometimes join one in your different community. For me, if you're international students, you can join your own international students or different cultures from different countries or different interests related to your expertise. You can always look for those and attend them at least weekly or bi-weekly to get to know your peers, the same people who are sitting in your place and they're going through the same challenges. I think it will be beneficial for you to spend that time. Or if you are a spiritual person, you can always find your like Bible believing church and so forth, and go get to know your peers and community that way. So make sure you use your advantages. Like you have a beautiful swimming pool, there's a gym and fitness and so forth. My advice for you is to put that in your time and build your everyday, that discipline for yourself, your academic and a little bit of your health wise, making sure you're eating well, you know, and using your resources very, very, very perfectly. Another advice I have for you, you are at college, the costs are pretty much lowered as much as you can, as much as it is possible for college, but still you would have some expenses. But to lower those down, I would suggest to take advantage of applying for scholarships. I know writing those different statements can take time, it takes effort, as well as grants and so forth. But once you get that scholarship or grant, that'll be point of your strength in your application if you're transferring to another college, or to a four-year college, or and so forth. So take advantage of applying them and don't take them for granted. Sometimes you never know, you can actually be getting in a scholarship for a great program, and that can be your reference for the next step of your life. And EOPS is another great resources. They help with different things. But you know, when you are going to classes, learning at different things, it could be overwhelming, and you could just spend a lot of time with yourself. I'd say take advantage of working part-time. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities to working also part-time. I was tutoring for about 2.5 years in mathematics, computer science, and that enabled me to explore something outside of myself, because when you are doing your work, you're mostly into yourself, but for academic wise, but when you're working and serving and a little bit of interaction with the community that you don't know, it's going to help you to understand a little bit the balance of where you are standing in this community, in this new challenges, new opportunities. So for me, working part-time did work, and I feel like most students who to do work part-time, whether related at school or sometimes outside of school, it could be very give you a healthy balance of life. When you are in the society working and doing something, you would feel a little bit of value that you may not get all the time from just getting A's or B's in your classes. So that's one thing. And early on, you're in college level, you're pretty much investing yourself to finishing the college, as well as applying for your school. The cost of your school matters when you go to four-year college. And once you're done, you have to be able to think about what are going to be your next move early on in your journey. So market can change. Unfortunately, US market can change quickly, and so you have to be able to adjust ourselves regarding to different things we want to do. You got to look up the job market and see how the demand is on that market and so forth, and choose our interest a little bit, making sure that there's a job ready for us once we are moving there. So going to UC Irvine. Now, this is when you are finished your college, you want to go to a different college, whether in California or outside. I know there are two different options that are viable. One of them are states schools. I know most of these for my kinds of line of job, like for example, cybersecurity related to computer science. I've seen a lot of students choosing a state level colleges, and those colleges, state colleges, they are cheaper. They're a little bit similar to what you expect from what you have already seen from College of San Mateo. It is semester basis, slower. There are some of them research basis. So if you look up those grants on most of the things in terms of what topics those schools have been awarded, different grants that they have been awarded to, you can pick up that the main strength of that state level school is basically aligning with you or not. For me, I chose to go to UC system, and then UC Irvine. They have a completely different system from the state. First of all, their quarter system, their grants are, my school, it was mostly healthcare. They have an excellent healthcare system, and so most of the grants or most of the researches are centered around health and health sciences. So most of the comp sci majors, they end up getting their master's or PhD level related to health care, or and then like in engineering, it'll be healthcare devices. In computer science would be like AI in healthcare. So that's for UCMI if you're interested in there, but for each school could be different. So adapting to a research-based school for me was very challenging, as I was going from semester-based to quarterly. The pace was hugely faster. The demand was for the first 2-3 weeks was very easy, and out of a sudden you have homeworks and tests that are coming up that are way above your level, and you have to be able to pick up. It'll be long hours, so your life pretty much changes. Again, you have to adapt to a new level of living and still maintaining your basic needs. You need to be able to have good sleep, good health, and so forth, and be able to drop a great amount of time on your lessons and so forth for each classes. So early on, I suggest you keep those grades up and make sure you pick a balanced schedule for your semester. If you are picking like really high level graduate level class on your bachelor level, please make sure that your other classes are something easier for you. If you're good at writing, maybe something around that area, or good at art, or maybe something around that area as you're finishing your GED, so forth. But when you're attending, it is very important to create that relationship with your professor, because when you go to a university level, you won't have the luxury of being in a small class settings, just as you have in College of San Mateo. That's why I always advise you to use um, office hours in order to create that relationship with your professors early on at college, because those professors are going to be your advocates, and whoever that professor is on your application is going to give the admission the theme of who you are personally, because of the time you spend and person who you spend your time with. So if that person is related to your interest and you have showed work, you have got good grades in there, we went and attended their office hours already, and they have advocated for you to write a reference letter for your application. So voila, you're going to be successful in showing your story perfectly. And most importantly, don't forget that at state level compared to UC level, the prices are different per year. So you might want to pick maybe cheaper option, but it's not all about just picking up your classes and just dropping a lot of time working hard, night owls kind of thing. I had the luxury of having my dog. This is Noir. This is in Aldrich Park in the UC Irvine. We have a beautiful Aldrich Park that all the campuses are just centered around this park. I was able to have my dog there, and Noir is a Labrador Retriever. Very, very smart dog. I took him all around the places, and so I spent a lot of time with him, and we had a really, really good time spending time together at UC Irvine. And this is another photo of him. So around the Christmas time, you can see from his face he's unhappy with the clothes he has. It's a bit tight on him. He gets a little bit nervous, but we had to have him wear that clothes because it was Christmas time. So after I finished my bachelor degree in UC Irvine, that opened an opportunity for me to work as a researcher in Patent Lab. That Patent Lab is widely known for different researchers in healthcare, cybersecurity, as well as different disciplines. So in there, I was able to apply what I learned at my college level to this opportunity that I have, which gave me a lot of meaningful value. That all of this time, all of that suffering that I went through didn't go wasted, but rather gave me a competitive edge to other people in this opportunity, in this environment. So once you get your degree from an actual good school, like with good ranking, and then you start your job at certain position in a certain organization, you would notice automatically your competitive edge compared to others. There are always people who are struggling in certain things that you already know that information by picking up your classes at your school. So that personally gave me a competitive edge, and I was able to use that for my advantage. But also there are also researchers who are top of the notch, and you would have to still learn from there, depending on what you do. If you're going to be in my case, it was mostly researching AI. So compared to other researcher, I did found what I did from College of San Mateo, moving it to a good school was beneficial for me. And then next thing you might want to put it into account is getting to know other people from different culture, getting to know what they do, where they grow up, and making that little bit of relationship with them. It's going to help you in your workplace and next on once you graduate from college and find your position at your specialty. So make sure you take advantage of that. I know College of San Mateo, we have different cultures, Hispanic, Americans, and different cultures. I just suggest you go make a friendship with them. So to me, working at researching in Pattern Lab, I was able to co-author 2 papers. One of them, it's called From Question to Insight with Answers, Building an Informed Chatbot. Essentially, and the other one is MLOps, machine learning and operations, and tools in machine learning operations. So what I learned from that opportunity was how to build an intelligent conversational AI for students in need. So this case, you would have different departments. You can think about Department of Mathematics, Department of Chemistry, Department of Computer Science, economy, and different disciplines across maybe, let's say, 37 different departments. We wanted to collect this specific information regarding to each department. That could be an information, the data that each department has. So for mathematics, you can imagine lots of different papers related to mathematics, different classes held, different professors, different location, different clubs, different opportunities, and so forth. We wanted to collect that information and provide it to a system this called Chatbot for students to be able to interact with this chatbot and ask different questions and find out what they want to need to get to and the answers to. So for example, they can ask about this professor. If I want to join this particular class, there are 2 different professors. How do I know which one aligns with myself? You can ask intelligently, what are your 5 sets of values that you care the most? And this is the professors that I have for this class. Which one is closely aligning with my goal and mission? So you could get that answers. Or if you have any questions regarding to food supply or housing or dinings, it could give you locations of different places. So it could basically guide you as an intelligent assistant in leading your path and so forth. And finally, to do after we finished building this chatbot, we had to be able to check its usage. So that's why we had the system usability scale and so forth. So students would have to answer a few questions about this chatbot. We call it Bark Plug. Before I start going over what is these boom of chat GPT, you see in the net, this is basically what the fundamental part of these conversational AIs or chatbots that you see. It all started from Wazawani et al. Publishing this paper called Attention is All You Need. In there, he laid out its fundamental architecture to how create an autoregressive prediction model to predict one word at a time based on a context that it's been given. So at first, there will be a process of learning. You have to give your context. It could be an internet amount of information, or it could be a certain data that you want to train on. You would give that context, and through this architecture, this context is being digested, and through multi-head attention, there will be some learning rates and parameters. It's going to be embedded in each part of that context, and essentially between each word in your context, there will be some sort of an attention with some level of degree between 0 and 1, that this word is attending more to this certain word. For example, if my name is Farbod and I have a let's say colored shirt, and the context is about how I love my color shirt. So then Farbod and this colored shirt, let's say red, they would have a higher value in my positional embedding, as well as this attentions between my name and that thing that is basically the context of that uh, paragraph. So what happened was really different. It was basically the multi-hit attention, because these kind of things were, we could have done it through convolutional as well as recurrent net, but with self-attention, they were able to do this much faster to come up with keys and queries, as well as questions regarding to the context that they are basically training their models on. So in a parallel settings, they were able to accomplish that and create that connection between each words, as well as each word's attention in the context. So they were able to do that. So when you use your chat GPT and give it a context, this is how it actually works. Like you see between the word the and the law, there are like really strong red attention between them, but also you would see there are smaller attention between these word to the other parts of your context or your text. But what matter is to find out how these attentions are related to one another in the most efficient way. And using multi-hit attention, because you can go over all of the probabilities of each word in your context and figure out which one is related to one another and bring those grouping closer to one another, it enables you to figure out the meaning of that context, and thus predicting one word at a time. That's why we call the autoregressive component of these prediction mechanisms. So for us, we didn't even need to go over all of these details in math part of it and how these matrices works behind the scene, but we used the OpenAI API, which we could have given it 16K of context, and we could get 16K of word probably length of the answers back. So that was our limit back then. And our goal was, when a question comes in from a student, like for example, tell me about the housing prices around this location, we wanted to send this information to the OpenAI and get an answer for, but our domain was specific. Back then, OpenAI didn't have the even opportunity to understand what are, for example, Starkville housing location, prices, and opportunities open, especially the data must be updated. The OpenAI training, normally they train their models for months, and so these data were outdated. So to solve that problem, we used a RAG, which was a mechanism called retrieval augmented generation. With RAG, the architecture, as you see in the model, it is the fact that we would use our data and sort it in something called database, but this case we would call it vector database. This database helped us to first navigate the from vast amount of data that we had regarding to that department, multiple departments, first find out which departments that question is related to. If it is a housing department, then we could pull that information with a set of similar related documents or related data to that question, and then send that data to the chat GPT. And basically it could be any model. It doesn't have to be OpenAI APIs. We have used I believe like different APIs, open source APIs, so in Hugging Face. There are a lot of different models you can install on your CPUs or GPUs or and so forth, that basically are even cheaper. But with OpenAI, we used to pay some amount of money per words that were generated. So our job was to first find that corpus of related information, related context, then send it to the LLM or OpenAI APIs, and then get an answers back from. So building that architecture for us was the most challenging part. So we used a RAG for that, and we used a similarity search method with some sort of threshold, which was a pretty much the very first step thing. I learned it in my university, when we did take a class regarding to web, and they go over these kind of search, and you learn a lot of different search as your if you're a computer science major. So that help us to target that perfectly and get good results. So part of this process, we are doing embedding. Embedding is basically changing your English into numbers, and then use those numbers as a reference for those letters or for those words. A good thing with numbers is that they are continuous. With words, you don't have continuity. Then you could have easier way to do search and vector search. It gives a huge amount of performance per your search to find a corpus of data between like gigabytes of, or maybe terabytes of data. You want to find like your answers between all of these scattered data. Then vector search is what we do in our case. So a prompt basically goes into a vector search with some sort of a threshold. If you want to have more results, you would lower the threshold down, so you get more results per your question that is similar, and you get those doc, you send it to the LLM or your prefer um whatever model you like to. It could be on OpenAI, whatever you like to, and get a response back. So here's one of the things. What are the funding opportunities available for graduate students in CSE departments? So what happens, the same process. We get this question, send it to our own database, similarity search, vector search, and get some corpus of data, send it to the OpenAI, and OpenAI results would come back as graduate students in the computer science and engineering department at Mississippi State, blah, blah, blah. We just put that, that means we didn't have space enough to put it down, but they came such as assistantship, research grant, fellowship, scholarship, industry partnership. So these are the opportunities if you are at the graduate level. Normally industrial opportunities such as different industrial partnership, they have partnership with your school, and that means if you reach out to them, they sometimes support you in finishing your degree, and have a good job already for you set. But you have to look up those opportunities, apply for them. This is another way that second prompt, who do I contact if I have questions about attending MSU, and it gives you the resources to do so. But we have to also somehow figure out part of your research. When you do work on your research, hopefully you get excited about doing research, because you have so much open opportunity to go and explore your own things, and show it and compare it to one another. And this was one of the things that we did. We were just giving these kind of chatbots to students and asking them certain questions, getting the results of what things they need to. I thought the system was easy to use and so forth, and showing it in your research paper tells you that you found a way to assess your method, because research starts with your intro, then a little bit of literature review about what things have done before you and your method. But your method, okay, it is better than other methods, but you have to still be able to evaluate it. So we did that through SAS as well as RAGAS, retrieval augmented generation, for testing. So it'll be some sort of points points, and for precision, recall, and faithfulness, and relevancy. And so it has some sort of a mean, and we were able to tell that the answers that we got was relevant and was pretty much to what we expect. So the way we do that is by having a human in the loop to check each answers, and basically double check that with another model's answers, and compare the similarities between the two models' answers. And if they come quite similar, then we expect that at least our model did perform relatively good. This is another way that we can see without RAG. It tells you that I don't have this domain specific information. When they ask this model from ChatGPT, OpenAI, could you please list some of doctor, Latifi's research interest? It could have came. My knowledge is all the way from January 2022, so I don't have that information. But with our model using the retrieval augmented generation, we give the context to the OpenAI to find that out. And if you're interested to explore more about this, I would suggest go and check NVIDIA. They are doing excellent thing in large language models, and they have this course. I believe it is free, yeah, but it will tell you a little bit about the nuances behind how large language model works, as well as how you can custom it. Training in large language models, it's always very expensive, but using RAG, you would have the opportunity to not expend that amount of time, but rather have still good results for your domain specific problems. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer that. Please, you can drop it in the chat, or you can just come alive and ask your questions. Let me know. But I am pretty much done. If you have any questions from me, please drop it in the chat. Other than that, I'll stay probably for another few minutes, but you should be good. And thanks for attending. All right, when they're recording of the presentation publicly. My pleasure, my pleasure. I think that answers, Salpi can answer that. I don't know specifically when is it going to be published. I have not led any paper yet, but that is what I'm gonna do for my graduate degree. I am actually studying my graduate degree at Harvard part-time, so hopefully that will be my next step. Thank you so much for your journey, experience, and advice. My pleasure, my pleasure. All right. Typically, it takes about a week. Okay. There you go. Normally about a week until you have it publicly.
Yeah, this is from Gerardo. It's gonna be for everyone that it will be on the website after 1 week.
Totally. All right. So with that, I thank you so much for attending. If there's anything else, I'll probably hang around for another minute. Let me know if there's anything else. All right. Do you have an email in case we have other question? Yes, I drop it in chat. Please make sure you refer to our presentation just in case. But this would be my email. There we go. All right. So I wish you have a wonderful rest of the day. If there's anything else, probably gonna leave. Can't see your email. Oh, it'll be why can't you see my email? So let me see if I could type it in. Ah, somebody did type it in. Can you see it now? Yes, awesome. Alrighty. That's it. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I probably have to stop sharing. And there we go. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Sapi and Gerardo. Thank you. Bye-bye.